Oklahoma State has finally found their defensive coordinator, or in this case, defensive coordinators. Who is it, and what are my thoughts on it? Pull up a chair, sit back, relax, and let's talk. What is up, college sports fans, Big 12 fans, and fellow members of Mountaineer Nation? This is Couz. Welcome into another edition of Couz's Corner. Pull up that chair or a bar stool, and let me serve you up this shot of top-shelf college football content. In this episode, we're talking Oklahoma State Cowboys football. I did a video a few weeks ago talking about all the negative things that have happened around Oklahoma State, all the guys they lost to the portal, losing defensive coordinator Derek Mason, who decided to step away from the game, step away from coaching at least. So things haven't looked good at Oklahoma State. Well, they finally hire Mason's replacement, and it's a name that most Oklahoma State fans are not happy with, at least based on what I'm reading on message boards and on Twitter. Before I give you my thoughts on it, let's take a look at the article or the information about this hire. Oklahoma State coach Mike Gundy announced today the addition of Bryan Nardo as the new defensive coordinator for Cowboy football. Additionally, Joe Bob Clements has been elevated to co-defensive coordinator, and Tim Duffy has been elevated to defensive passing game coordinator. Now, the Joe Bob Clements thing, not a huge surprise. A lot of people expected him to get the job full time, to be honest, and not have to share the duties, which I'll get to in a minute. But it says Nardo comes to Stillwater after most recently serving as the defensive coordinator at Gannon University in 2022. The linebackers coach at Youngstown State from 2020 to 2021, and the 8 seasons before that as the defensive coordinator at Emporia State. He holds a 71-35 career record in 10 years as a defensive coordinator and brings 15 total years of college experience with him. Now, when you read off that list of schools, the only one I even recognized was Youngstown State, which is a good program. It's a good FCS program. Respectable in the state of Ohio. Gannon University, Emporia State, I had never heard of them. They're Division II schools. At least I know Gannon is. So a lot of Oklahoma State fans are not happy at all with the fact that they brought in a coach from the Division II level. Reminds me a lot of West Virginia fans. Anytime Coach Brown hires a coach that comes from a smaller school, people go crazy. Folks, I'm here to tell you, if a guy's a good coach, a guy's a good coach. Doesn't matter what level he played at. And even though I don't know anything about this guy, I'm not going to try to sit here and act like I do, because I had honestly never heard of him. Mike Gundy has. And Mike Gundy, I'm sure, has done his research, talked to experts in the industry. Mike Gundy's been in this a long time, knows a lot of people and a lot of coaches, has a lot of contacts. And I'm sure this guy comes highly recommended. So don't get your panties in a wad over the guy because he came from the Division II. I mean, look around the country. Look what Kansas was able to do with Lance Leipold. He originally got his start at a Division III school. Chris Kleiman came from North Dakota State, an FCS school. Look what he's doing at Kansas State. As a matter of fact, Oklahoma State fans, you can look at your own program and see where you've had success in the past with coaches from smaller schools. You remember a guy named Mike Yursich, your former offensive coordinator, who happens to be the offensive coordinator at Penn State today and has also been offensive coordinator at Texas and Ohio State. Guess where he came from? Shippensburg, a Division II school. But he's a good coach. Anybody who's had success coaching and knows how to develop young men, knows how to build relationships with young men, I think they can do it at every level. And I'm sure Mike Gundy has, like I said, researched it, and he knows the capabilities this young man has. The fact he's young, I think, is a good thing. He'll be able to relate to the players better. You see it going on throughout college football. A lot of these staffs are hiring these younger coaches because they can relate to today's players a little easier. And I think that's very important, not only in building relationships with current players, but also on the recruiting trail. You need to be able to build relationships with these players. To go on down here and get Mike Gundy's statement about this hire, he says, I'm excited about the addition of the Bryan Nardo as our defensive coordinator. He's a young, energetic, bright football coach who brings 10 years of coordinating experience with him. He's been successful, and his innovative system has helped win games everywhere he's been. Then he goes on to talk about his elevations of Joe Bob Clements and Tim Duffy. Now, the only thing I would worry about if I was an Oklahoma State fan would be this. Obviously, the negativity around the hire from the fan base. That's not a good thing for the program. But even more importantly, how does Joe Bob Clements feel about this? Does Joe Bob Clements, is he going to feel shorted because he didn't get the promotion, the full promotion, to be the full-time defensive coordinator? That he's going to have to share the duties with a guy who's not been in the program, who's coming in brand new, from a Division II school. Will there be any animosity there, any jealousy there, any hard feelings there? Look, if there was, I wouldn't blame him. He's a human, human nature. If he really wanted the job, he might feel like he got slighted here a little bit. Could that cause some problems? I don't know. I don't know Joe Bob Clements. If you're an Oklahoma State fan, you know anything about Joe Bob Clements, let me know in the comments. Is that a concern for you? Because I think it is a fair concern. But the fact he comes from Division II, I would not be concerned about. The only other thing I guess I would be concerned about is the fact that even if he's a good coach, why is it taking 10 or 15 years for him to get a job at a higher level? That might be a little concerning to me, but at the end of the day, I think good coaches are good coaches. I think your former coach, Mike Yursich, has proved that. I think other coaches around the country have proved that. So a guy coaching at a lower level does not mean he's a bad coach. Give the guy a chance. He could end up being a fantastic defensive coordinator and could end up really, really helping Oklahoma State. And here's one thing as a West Virginia fan I'm concerned about. He has connections in the state of Ohio, which is one of our biggest recruiting bases. West Virginia really recruits the state of Ohio very aggressively because it's a border state. We've gotten a lot of talent out of Ohio in the past and even on today's roster. Could Oklahoma State be making a push to try to recruit more in the state of Ohio? And with Cincinnati coming in the league, maybe they feel like that's a state they need to get into more. With his experience at Gannon and at Youngstown State, he's probably built relationships. So it's that's a concern for me as a West Virginia fan is I don't want Oklahoma State coming into Ohio and doing more recruiting in that state. So I'm a little bit concerned there. If he's a really good recruiter, he could end up stealing some players away from a school like a West Virginia. So anyway, that being said, I want to hear your thoughts in the comment section. Also, if you want to support my channel financially, you can do so a couple different ways. You can check out my merch store. Links at the top of the description box. There are also photos of my merch below the comment section. Click on one of those photos. It gets you right into the merch store. Buy any product you want, whether it be a hoodie, a ball cap, a T-shirt, coffee mug, mouse pad, whatever you want. It's there. Also, you can join my channel, become a member by hitting the join button below. Shout out to my new member, Jeremy Croy. I really appreciate you, Jeremy, for your support. Last but not least, you can support me absolutely 100% free by doing 4 things. You can like the video by hitting the thumbs up button below. You can share it out with your friends. You can drop that comment that I mentioned earlier. Last but not least, you can subscribe to my channel. Help me get to my 5,000 subscriber mark. I'd like to do that by the 1st of April if possible, but I need your help. So please subscribe and ask your friends to subscribe, and it'll be easier to find my content here on YouTube. With that being said, I really appreciate your support. I appreciate you tuning in to this episode, and until the next one, Q Country Roads. West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home.